Do you want to get the most out of your magic moolah? Do you want a better deck for your ducats? Do you want more wins for your bends? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that technicolor rainbow in between, you're in the right place. I'm the research assistant, and this is Picks to Help You Win Your Draft, Part 1. This list only ranks the standard legal set, which is TLA. It's not going to be discussing TLE in any way, shape, or form. TLE is more to deal with Commander, and I don't think they're going to be doing drafts as far as collectible boosters go. This top 10 list is going to be in three groups: commons, uncommons, and rares and mythics are going to be in the same slot because in the packs they're in pretty much the same slot. There will be updates to this list as more of the set is revealed in the coming days, and there will be a final list after the entire set is revealed. Now, just a disclaimer I have to throw in here. These are my picks and mine alone. If you choose to use them and don't do well, blame the research assistant. Now let's get into my top 10 picks for the common rarity for Avatar: The Last Airbender. But first, some common honorable mention. First up, we have Pretending Pockbearers. It's a 1 and a white or black. It's a creature, human citizen ally. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. And it's a 2 power, 1 toughness. It's not bad, but it's more for an ally deck where you want more ally bodies, so you can trigger more of their effects. Next up, we have Rowdy Snowballers. It's 2 and a blue. It's a creature, human, peasant ally. When this creature enters, tap target creature and opponent controls and put the stun counter on it. If permanent with the stun counter would become tapped, remove 1 from it instead. The only reason this is on the honorable mentions is because there is a rare that does the same thing, and you can get this in multiples, but you only want to get it if you get that one rare or if your plan is to pretty much just stun down your opponent. Last honorable mention we have is Raucous Audience. It's 1 and a green. It's creature, human citizen, tap to add mana, green mana. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 green mana instead for a 2/1. Now, the only reason this is in the honorable mentions part is because it only really works as far as a deck that has like a lot of power 4 or greaters. There is an uncommon coming up in the set that if you get that uncommon, you should probably slam these as much as you can. But without that, I probably wouldn't run it unless you're looking to ramp mana a lot for a lot of big creatures, which would pretty much be that deck that I'm talking about. First card making the list at number 10 is Iguana Parrot. It's a 2 and a blue, a creature, lizard bird pirate, flying, vigilance, and prowess for a 2/2. You want to slam as much of these as you possibly can, especially if you're running in a blue deck, because blue decks tend to have prowess activate on your opponent's turn. So it's a pretty good body, especially in this limited set. I'd get as many as I can. Coming in at number 9, it's Turtle Duck, a 1 green creature turtle bird. For 3 mana until the end of turn, this creature has base power 4 and gains trample. Now, this is a really good first turn play, especially to stave off more aggressive decks. And later in the game, it becomes a 4 power trample for 1 and interacts with another uncommon and some rares on this list. So get as many of those as you possibly can snatch up. Number 8 is an instant Rocky Rebuke. It's 1 and a green. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. It's a good fight spell, it's really cheap, and there's a lot of high power creatures in this set when it comes to green. So you might want to consider getting as many fight spells as you can. That way you can damage your opponent without actually having to do combat. Number 7 is Abandoned Attachments. It's an instant lesson for either blue or red. You may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Card draw or card filtering is always a great way to go. It gets you through more of your deck and gets you to parts of either your combos or your really big creatures. So I value these as highly as you can. Coming in at number 6 on the commons list is Watery Grasp. It's 1 blue enchantment aura. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, and you can water bend 5 enchanted creatures. Owner shuffles it into their library. While paying a water bend cost, you can tap your artifacts and creatures of help. Each one pays for 1. It's a very good first turn play, especially if you're trying to tap down your opponent as part of your strategy. And it's also good in case you missed a turn 1 creature and you just want to freeze theirs out. So get as many of these as you possibly can. Coming in at number 5 is Pillar Launch. It's a 1 green instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains reach until end of turn. Untap it. Now that last sentence is the most important part of this card for me. Untap it, meaning swing with whatever creature you have, and then you use this as a combat trick to give them +2/+2, give them reach so they can possibly block the flyer, and then untap it so they can actually block it. And since it's such a cheap cost, it's something that players are going to have to look out for constantly. Coming in at number 4, it's It'll Quench Ya. For 1 in the blue, instant lesson. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Now I don't have this high on the list because it's the quenchiest. I have this on the list because it's a really cheap counter spell, and when you're on the plan to prevent your opponent from basically playing big creatures or things of that nature, especially this comes in really good handy. And since it comes in a common, you'll probably see this more than a lot of your other cards on this list. So pick up multiple of these, and I mean it's blue. That's what it counts. Coming in at number 3 for 1 in the black is ATLA Indoctrination. It's a sorcery lesson. Choose 1. Target opponent reveals their hand. Choose a non-land permanent card from it. That player discards that card. Or Earthbend 2. Target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste that's still a land. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. When it dies or is exiled, return it to the battlefield intact. Now this is really high up because it does either one of 2 things. It gives you a 2/2 body that's a land, or it gives you information as far as your opponent's hand and lets you discard a card from it, which comes in handy, especially when people have 1-ofs and 2-ofs in draft decks. So slam as many of these as you possibly can, so you can learn as much from your opponent as possible. Coming in at number 2, it's Path to Redemption. A 1 white enchantment aura. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. Pay 5, sacrifice this aura. Exile enchanted creature. Create a 1/1 white ally creature token. Activate only during your turn. Now, the reason this alternate version of pacifism is so high on the list is because it not only prevents your opponent from attacking or blocking the biggest creature, but if you have the spare mana, you can also sacrifice it, exile their creature, and create a 1/1 on your board. So when it's at the common slot, pick up as many as you possibly can get. And topping the commons list at number 1 is Lightning Strike. It's 1 in a red, it's an instant, it deals 3 damage to any target. Now, this isn't just good in firebending decks, this is good in pretty much any deck that can play red. If you happen to pick up 4 of them, which there is a chance of you doing since it's a common, that's 12 damage off the top. That's 2/3 of their life already gone. And all you've done is play 4 cards. So slam as many of these as you possibly can. Before we get into the top 10 uncommons, here are some honorable mentions. Gran is a 1 blue legendary creature human peasant ally. Whenever Gran becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. Non-creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast as long as there are 3 or more lessons in your graveyard for a 1/2. Now, that last part is really the reason that it's on the honorable mention, because it works best in a deck with a lot of lessons in them. Now, I'm not sure exactly how many lessons are out right now or how many will be in the future. This may get a spot on the list later, but for right now, it's just an honorable mention. Also an honorable mention is Allies of Blast. For 2 and a green instant, affinity for allies, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each ally you control. Up to 2 target creatures you control each deal damage equal to their power to target creature and opponent controls. So in an ally deck, if you happen to have 2 out, this becomes a fight spell for 1 green that actually takes 2 different creatures and combines their power to target a much larger creature. Now, this works best in an ally deck, which is why it's on the honorable mentions list, because unless you already know that your strategy is going to be to run allies, possibly multicolor, you should probably stay away from this for the time being. Coming in at number 10 on the uncommons list is Solstice Revelations. For 2 and a red, it's an instant lesson. Exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the spell's mana value is less than the number of mountains you control. If you don't cast that card this way, put it into your hand, and you can flashback for 6 and a red. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. The reason I have this so low on the list is because in the early game for 2 and a red, you're only able to play like 3 mana value creatures or less. So it's not really a good plan, especially if you're doing multicolor. You're going to have even less mountains than that. Now, late game, this is a really, really great tool, especially with the flashback being a 7, because there's a lot of stuff that you can cast off that flashback cost. But just the first cost, it's not really efficient as far as your curve is concerned. Number 9 is Buzzard Wasp Colony. For 3 and a black, it's a creature, bird, insect, flying. When this creature enters, you may sacrifice an artifact or creature. If you do, draw a card. When another creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, put its counters on this creature. This works best with black-green decks, especially when you're earthbending, because you can sacrifice a tapped land that is earthbent and get its counters onto this flyer, and also get the land back, because as the land dies when it's earthbent, then you get the land back tapped anyway. Coming in at number 8 is the Cat Daddy Cat Gator. For 6 and a black, it's a creature, fish crocodile, lifelink. When this creature enters, it deals damage equal to the number of swamps you control to any target. Now in a mono black deck, slamming this down means you hit 7 swamps when you're dealing 7 damage and you gain 7 life since it's a lifelink. And it's more on the top end of your curve, so this is going to hit more. This is going to hit closer to when you need to end the game. This can be a great finisher, especially if they're on low light. Coming in at number 7, we're going to put in some honest work. It's 1 blue, an enchantment aura. Enchant creature an opponent controls. When this aura enters, tap enchanted creature and remove all counters from it. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a citizen with base power and toughness 1/1. And tap as colorless mana named Humble Merchant. It loses all other creature types and names. Now this is a very versatile card and I do like it for what it's designed to do. But the reason it's so low on this list is because it turns your opponent's creature into mana dork, so you actually help them ramp. Unless you happen to put this on an earthbended land, in which case it's going to lose all its counters and go back to being a land. So against earthbending decks, it's a pretty good tool. But early game, the last thing that you want to do is give your opponent a mana dork that has mana and get their curve going a lot faster. Coming in at number 6 is Flopsy, Boomy's buddy. For 4 and 2 green, it's a legendary creature, 8 goat. When Flopsy enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Each creature you control with power of 4 or greater can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. So this basically in an earthbending deck gives all of your lands +1/+1 counters, and once you combine it with another card, the next card on the list, then it makes them even bigger. And this is more going to be on the top end of your curve, but this is along the lines of Cat Gator, in which it's a finisher close to the end. Number 5 on the list is Toph with Blind Bandit. For 2 and a green, a legendary creature, human warrior ally. When Toph enters, Earthbend 2. Toph's power is equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on lands you control. Now, without Boomy's buddy, this comes out as a 2/3. Unless you're in a deck that's based around Earthbend. Off the top, I can think of Daile's Indoctrination, which is an Earthbend 2. So at the very minimum, playing Daile's Indoctrination, doing an Earthbend 2, and then playing Toph does another Earthbend 2, makes her a 4/3. And that's without Toph. It's pretty good, but it's legendary, so that's why it's cool. Coming in at number 4, Seismic Sense. It's a 1 green sorcery lesson. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. You may reveal a creature or a land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This works best as a late game card, whenever you're basically hunting for whatever your kill condition is in the deck. Early game, it's not really that good because you're most likely never going to reveal like the top 2 cards in your library. And unless you're severely mana screwed, I might want to avoid it. Coming in at number 3 is Ozai's Cruelty. For 2 and a black with the sorcery lesson. Ozai's Cruelty deals 2 damage to target player. That player discards 2 cards. On your turn 3, if your opponent went first, they're basically going to be down to about 3 or 4 cards in hand. if they're playing land and playing card every turn. Now, when they're in 3 or 4 cards in hand, you discarding half their hand and dealing 2 damage to them hurts a lot. Possibly more hurt than the Phoenix King Pride when you suffer defeat at the hands of the enemy. Please don't tell Aang that number 2 is Heartless Act, a 1 in a black instant that has choose 1, destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. It's a very versatile and cheap kill spell that can either turn Earthbent lands back into just lands with the bottom part, or destroying the creature that turned them into lands in the first place with the top part. The only reason this card has a muzzle on it, as far as its spot in this list is concerned, is that I believe there is some graveyard recursion in this set, so it might not help to just destroy it. You may have to get rid of it completely. Which brings us to number 1 on the uncommons list, Epic Downfall. It's a 1 in a black sorcery that exiles target creature with mana value 3 or greater. Now the reason this tops the list over Heartless Act, which is an instant, is because for the same cost during your turn, you can actually exile the creature instead of just destroying it. And it targets a creature with mana value 3 or greater, which means that if you're playing against a green deck that ramps, or just anyone that likes to put out cards faster than their mana cost on the cards, then this takes care of what they just ramped for. You've reached the tippy top of the rarity ladder for this list. It's the top 10 rares and mythics. But before we get into it, we've got a lot of honorable mentions in this category. Earth King's Lieutenant is a green-white creature human soldier ally. It has trample. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each other allied creature you control. Whenever another ally you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And it's 1/1. The reason it's an honorable mention is because unless you already know that you're going to be going with the allied strategy, or the allied strategy lane is actually open as far as your pot is concerned, you don't want to pick this, especially when you can pick other things like commons or uncommons, because it is very weak by itself. And since he's a 1/1 by himself, he actually dies to another card in this set that I believe is called Azula Tells Lies, which -1/-1's a creature and puts +1/+1 on another target creature. And since you choose one or both, you'll basically lose your card while they gain a +1/+1 counter. Toph, the First Metal Bender, is a 1 red, green, white legendary creature human warrior ally. Non-token artifacts you control are lands in addition to their other types. They don't gain the ability to tap mana. At the beginning of your end step, Earthbend 2, and it's a 3/3. Now, as good as this card is, the reason it's an honorable mention on this list is because unless you've already determined that you're going to go 3 colors, which you really shouldn't do as far as drafting is concerned, it's only going to spread the focus of the deck out more than it needs to be. Especially since, from what I've seen, the primary earth-bending colors happen to be green and black. Secret of Bloodbending is a 4 blue sorcery lesson. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may waterbend 10. You control target opponent during their next combat phase. If this spell's additional cost is paid, control that player during their next turn instead. You see all cards that player could see, all decisions for them, then exile Secret of Blood. The reason it's an honorable mention, and it's an honorable mention for right now, I may actually change my mind on this one later, is because if you have the ability to water bend 10, you should have already finished the game by that point. Controlling their next combat phase is a very good effect for 4 blue, but that additional cost just kind of turns me off as far as slamming the card down. Tiger Seal is a 1 blue creature cat seal with vigilance that for 3/3, at the beginning of your upkeep, tap this creature. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, untap this creature. Those two sentences are the only reason that this is an honorable mention, because unless you're playing a deck that draws cards constantly past its first card each turn, this isn't really that good. Now, if you're on the draw multiple card strategy, this is a great body, especially at the 1-drop slot. But without that, it's not very good unless you have effects that untap. And the only one I can think of right now is a green. The Legend of Kuruk is a 2 and 2 blue enchantment saga, where number 1 and number 2 are scribe to then draw a card, and 3 is exile this saga, then return it to the battlefield transformed under your control, and it transforms into Avatar Kuruk, who's a legendary creature avatar. Whenever you cast a spell, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. With this token, can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. You can exhaust, waterbend for 20, and take an extra turn after this one. And that part of the card is the reason it's on the honorable mentions list. Just like Secrets of Bloodbending, if you can waterbend 20, the game should have been over by then. And spirit creature tokens are very useful when it comes to waterbending, but they're not very useful when it comes to attacking as far as like really big creatures are concerned. Not to mention that there are spirit creatures in this set, so sending those tokens against those do absolutely nothing. Momo Friendly Flyer is a 1 white legendary creature lemur bat ally. Flying, the first non-lemur creature spell with flying you cast during each of your turns costs 1 less to cast. Whenever another creature you control with flying enters, Momo gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and he's a 1/1. Honestly, he would have made this list if it wasn't for the fact that the only flying non-lemur creature spells I can think of in his colors are Aang and ATLA. Later on down the line, if there are more creatures that have flying that are in his colors, I'll probably add them. Or if you're thinking of going multicolor and doing Iguana Parrot, then pairing it with Momo is a pretty good idea. But you kind of have to know ahead of time that that's what your plan was going to be. Coming in at number 10 is Firelord Azula for 1, a blue, black, and red. A legendary creature, human noble, firebending 2. Whenever this creature attacks, add 2 red. This mana lasts until end of combat. Whenever you cast a spell while Firelord Azula is attacking, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. A copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. Now, as good as Firelord Azula is, the reason she's so on this is because she's 3 colors, and in a draft you kind of want to stick to 1 color if you can, 2 colors at max. But if you already know that you're going with blue-black or any of those combinations, and you want to splash for her, then by all means go ahead and do it. Especially if you have creatures that have flash that aren't legendary, you can copy them when you attack with her. Coming in at number 9 is Day of Black Sun. It's X and 2 black sorcery. Each creature with mana value X or less loses all abilities until end of turn. Destroy those creatures. The only reason it's not higher on this list is because of that double black cost. But this is a really great board wipe, especially a late game board wipe. If your opponent's strategy was to go wide and create as little tokens as possible, or if they're on the Earthbend strategy, it basically just loses all of their creatures by just paying 2 black. Now, they don't lose the lands completely because they're Earthbent and they come back, but it's still a very, very good selective board wipe. Coming in at number 8 is Sozin's Comet. It's a 3 and 2 red sorcery. Each creature you control gains Firebending 5 until end of turn. Whenever it attacks, add 5 red mana. This mana lasts until end of combat. Foretell for 2 in red. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its foretell card. Now, foretelling it does forecast it pretty badly. It pretty much tips your hand to the opponent, and if they've got a blue deck with any number of counter spells in it, they'll basically just sit back and wait for this to play. But against a deck with no counter spells, this actually comes out foretelled on turn 3, and if you're on curve, you can play it on turn 4, in which you can have at least 4 creatures out, which creates 20 mana if you attack all 4. Now, there's a lot that you can do with that mana as this list is, but as the set continues to get revealed, I'm guessing there's going to be more cards with X and red in them, so it's really going to help you take advantage of the Firebending 5. Coming in at number 7 is Azula, Cunning Usurper. She is a 2 blue and 2 black, a legendary creature, human noble rogue, Firebending 2. When Azula enters, target opponent exiles a non-token creature they control. Then they exile a non-land card from their graveyard. During your turn, you may cast cards exiled with Azula, and you may cast them as though they had flash. Mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. So she basically comes in, gets rid of 1 active threat on the field and 1 potential threat in the graveyard, and she can also use those threats against you, kind of like. Number 6 on this list is a double threat, the Rise of Sozin. It's 4 and 2 black in Enchantment Saga. The first step is destroy all creatures. The second step is choose a card name, search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. Then that player shuffles. The third step is exiling the saga and return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. 2. Firelord Sozin, a 5/5 legendary creature human noble with menace and firebending 3. Whenever Firelord Sozin deals combat damage to a player, you may pay X. When you do, put any number of target creature cards with total mana value X or less from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So Sozin starts out as a board wipe, and then it goes into information mode, so you can get rid of any future threats that you know they have or you think they may have, but either way you're able to search the deck to see what they have left. And when it turns into Firelord Sozin, then you use the very creatures that you just destroyed with the first half against your opponent. It's a good card to lead a mono black strategy because I believe there's also black creatures that have firebending as well, such as Azul. So it gives you the ability to splash red. The number 5 spot goes to the last active Kai. It's a 1 red instant. Target creature you control fights target creature the opponent controls. If the creature the opponent controls is dealt excess damage this way, add that much red mana. Until end of turn, don't lose unspent red mana as steps in facing it. On top of it being a great fight spell and potentially producing more red mana, with Firebenders, this actually takes that Firebend mana that you gain and gives you the ability to use it outside of combat until the end of the turn, meaning that you can actually use sorcery enchantments. So it's great versatility for a really cheap cost, considering the fact that it costs about the same as Lightning. Coming in at number 4 is Aang's Iceberg. It's 2 and white enchantment flash. When this enchantment enters, exile up to one other target land permanent until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. Waterbend 3, you sacrifice this enchantment. If you do, you scry 2. Now, this is higher on the list because it's a flash version of Radiant Light that you can also sacrifice when you don't need to lock down a creature in order to scry 2 for better cards or better options. Coming in at number 3 is Firebending Student. For 1 red, it's a creature team up with prowess, and Firebending X, where X is this creature's power. It may only be a 1/2 starting out, but I gather that there's a lot of cards in the red suite that would allow you to boost this creature's power. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I know there's an instant that boosts the creature's power, as well as a sorcery that boosts the creature's power and gives benefit. And while playing those spells to make her bigger, she actually makes herself bigger as far as the prowess is concerned, which gives you more mana whenever you attack with her with Firebend. All in all, she's a pretty good card, but she does need a lot of support to really maximize her potential. That's why she's a Firebending Student. Taking the number 2 spot is Ty Lee, Sheet Blocker. She's a 2 in the blue, legendary creature, human, performer, ally, with flash, prowess, and when Ty Lee enters, tap up to 1 target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's untap step for as long as you control Ty Lee, and she's a 2/1. She has a lot of potential as far as getting rid of early game threats as well as late game threats, and you can do it on your opponent's turn since she has flash, and since she has flash, then she can take advantage of prowess on her turn as well, in case they try to swing into her to take her out. The only reason she's number 2 on this list is because she dies to the Silver Teleportation and pretty much any other spell that defeats this gives her. And the number 1 spot of the rares and mythics slots goes to Badger Mole Cub. It's a 1 in a green creature Badger Mole. When this creature enters, Earthbend 1. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. Not only is it a great creature for cheap that lends itself to the Earthbend strategy very, very well, it also turns all of your lands into producing 2 mana instead of just 1, which is very useful if you happen to be splashing for, say, black, which is the other color that also deals with Earthbend. I mean, turning every creature that you have and every land that you have into a mana board sounds like a pretty good strategy, especially in green where they play a whole lot of big creatures, and this helps them play faster than the mana curve would normally allow them to be played. So if you see this, slam this and then start slamming everything that deals with earth movement. And that concludes part 1 of my list of picks to help you win your avatar draft. I'll put the list here as a reminder. Speaking of my picks, did you agree with them? Do you disagree? Would you change the spot on the ladder? Let me know in the comments. And if you've made it to this spot in the video, you are in consideration for being a great human. But in order to secure your spot on the list, you need to like, comment, and subscribe. And you also need to subscribe for more updates to the list to follow. I'm the research assistant, and in case I don't see you, good evening, good afternoon, and good night.